You know, I wanted to have you on today to talk about your resolution, your amendment that you want to add to the Constitution, which, I mean, it has no chance of passing, Thomas, because there's no common sense anymore. And the press, I saw when you suggested this, I'm all in. And the press ran headlines like, GOP now wants to control your food. What?
Right.
What?
Or that I'm for listeria and E. coli or something like that. Look, what I did is I threw out there a constitutional amendment, and I put a little bit of thought into it, because basically a constitutional amendment that guarantees your right to be able to grow food and to purchase food from the sources that you want. Because right now we've descended into this corptocracy where 4 companies control all the meat, a few cooperatives control all of the milk. We see Amish farmers just living off the land, selling to people, going to jail, having all of their food confiscated. Our founding fathers, I don't think, ever contemplated this getting to this point, and so they didn't put this in the Bill of Rights because it was just too obvious. But I think we need something like this now. I ran it by Mike Lee before I threw it up there on social media. I'm looking for a Democrat co-sponsor because I think that's key. And it's hard to draft a constitutional amendment that doesn't do something accidental. For instance, my first version of this, I thought, man, this is great. And I read it, and I'm like, no, the left is going to say this guarantees everybody's right to food stamps. And that's not what I want to do.
Jeez.
So
this actually stems from this Amish guy who's been arrested, is being hassled by the, I don't know, FDA, FBI, I don't know, some 3-letter agency that now, thinks that they can, go in with a SWAT team to an Amish farmer. And this is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, and they've harassed him multiple times. This time, I believe it's over milk sales. Before, it was over beef. He's not the only Amish person. There are other ones who are being prosecuted. There's a guy, I think it's Samuel Fisher in Virginia, who's being prosecuted. And so I came up with this amendment, and let me read it. It's pretty short. The right of the people to grow food and to purchase food from the source of their choice shall not be infringed, and Congress shall make no law regulating the production and distribution of food products which do not move across state lines. It's a very tight and compact amendment, but it covers a lot of things in there. First of all, I'm trying to basically get the feds out of the meat processing that's local, that's just intrastate. That's what the second clause is about. Congress shall make no law regulating the production and distribution of food products. And it's a shame I have to do that, but anyways, we got this big meat oligopoly that's enabled and enhanced by the USDA, the overregulation. They just regulate all the little guys out of it. But the first clause here, the right of people to grow food, you have a right to political speech, for instance. Whatever, your city or can do an ordinance and whatever, but they can't keep you from putting a sign up in your yard saying who you're going to vote for. I think you should be able to grow tomatoes without getting thrown out of your house, for instance. And then one other thing that this amendment covers, your ability to purchase food from the source of your choice. Now, this is the people who bought food from Amos Miller in Pennsylvania. They did cross state lines, but that food did cross state lines, I'm told. But the people who bought it knew what they were buying, and you should never be deprived of the ability to have a contract between 2 consenting adults to purchase food.
I have to tell you that when I saw that you said that, you can't do it over state lines, I thought to myself, and maybe Mike talked to you about this. I mean, you're smart enough to know this is what the Commerce Clause, this is what threw the Commerce Clause under the bus, that, they regulate all commerce, but it was supposed to be between states, but it happened because of wheat. And they said, well, that wheat, its pollen kind of goes in the air and goes across state lines. So we have to regulate that now. So how are you thinking you're going to get this across?
Well, And this is actually to countermand that horrible Supreme Court decision where they said a guy couldn't grow his own wheat and feed it to his own animals because if he grew his own wheat, he wasn't buying wheat in interstate commerce. And so that he was affecting interstate commerce by introducing more wheat into the overall supply, even though none of it crossed state lines. And so
that's what it was. You're right.
Yeah. And this is to countermand that horrible decision that the Supreme Court made. And that's why I said, food products which do not move across state lines instead of saying interstate commerce. We have to physically say if it's not going across state lines, then it's not state commerce. And that Supreme Court decision, if people want to look it up, was Wickard v. Filburn.
Yes. Wickard v. Filburn. That is such. It's been years since I've read it. That court case changed everything, and I don't know if we can get Congress to pass anything anymore. But thank you for the common sense on this and the bill. You're not voting for the bill, right?
Oh heck no! By the way, I think it was Mike Lee suggested I could name my constitutional amendment Roscoe Filburn's Revenge.
All right, Thomas, thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you, Glenn.
That would have been a fun, like, M. Night Shyamalan twist if he voted for the bill at the end of that interview. He's like, I'm totally
That's why I had to ask. No, I mean, what are you going to do? Got to pass it. So otherwise the world melts down.
And I think, by the way, we should note, I think that was perhaps the nerdiest joke ever made on the show, the Roscoe Filburn reference. I think that was. I applaud Thomas Massie. That is perhaps the most.
It's not often. He's writing it in his diary today. I had a chance to use that joke today. He's been waiting for years.